Before Dolly Parton became a global icon, she was just a little girl growing up in the Tennessee mountains in a family that had very little. She didn't grow up surrounded by money, fame, or privilege, but she had something that couldn't be bought: a voice, a dream, and an almost unbelievable determination to escape poverty. From singing on tiny radio stations to becoming one of the most recognizable women in the world, Dolly Parton's journey was anything but ordinary. And after 8 decades of music, movies, business, and giving back, her incredible journey has finally come to an end. This is the story of Dolly Parton. Before the legendary career, Dolly Parton was simply a little girl growing up in the Tennessee mountains. Born on January 19th, 1946, she was the 4th of 12 children in a family that struggled to make ends meet. They didn't have much money, but they had something priceless: music. Singing was part of everyday life, and Dolly discovered her gift remarkably early. By just 5 years old, she was already writing songs. She may have been born with very little, but she was already carrying something that would eventually make the whole world listen: a voice and a dream. Dolly Parton was still a child when she realized that music could take her somewhere beyond the Tennessee mountains. While other children were simply growing up, Dolly was already performing, writing songs, and chasing her dream. At just 10 years old, she was appearing on local radio and television. Then, at only 13, she made her debut at the legendary Grand Ole Opry, a moment that showed just how determined she was. But Dolly knew talent alone wouldn't be enough. She wanted Nashville. After finishing high school, she moved there with one goal: to become a professional songwriter and singer. Nashville was filled with talented people, and breaking through wouldn't be easy. But Dolly had something that couldn't be taught: an extraordinary voice, unforgettable personality, and the determination to keep knocking until somebody opened the door. And soon, someone finally did. Nashville was where Dolly's dream finally began to take shape. In 1967, she released her first studio album, Hello, I'm Dolly, introducing the world to a young woman with a voice and songwriting ability far beyond her years. But her biggest opportunity was still ahead. Country star Porter Wagoner invited Dolly to join the Porter Wagoner Show. Suddenly, the girl from Tennessee was appearing in homes across America every week. Dolly was getting noticed. But she wasn't satisfied with simply being somebody else's singing partner. She had bigger dreams. And soon, she would then make a decision that could either destroy her career or turn her into a superstar. Dolly's partnership with Porter Wagoner became hugely successful, but eventually she knew it was time to leave. The decision created tension between them, and Dolly needed a way to explain what she was feeling. So instead of arguing, she wrote a song. That song was I Will Always Love You. It wasn't just another country song. It became an emotional farewell to Porter and eventually one of the most famous songs ever recorded. Dolly walked away from the partnership and stepped into an uncertain future. She was finally on her own, but what looked like a risky career decision became the beginning of something much bigger. Dolly Parton was no longer the girl standing beside a star. She was becoming the star. The gamble paid off. Throughout the 1970s, Dolly's career exploded. Her songwriting became one of her greatest weapons, producing unforgettable songs like Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You. But Dolly wasn't interested in being trapped inside one category. She wanted to reach people beyond country music. Then came Hollywood. In 1980, Dolly starred alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin in 9 to 5. The movie became a major success, and Dolly also performed the iconic theme song. Suddenly, millions who had never followed country music knew exactly who she was. Dolly had crossed over, and there was no turning back. By the 1980s, you didn't need to hear Dolly sing to recognize her. The enormous blonde hair, the sparkling clothes, the high heels, the makeup, the unmistakable voice and personality. Everything about Dolly had become part of an image that was uniquely hers. But behind the glamorous appearance was a remarkably strategic woman who understood the entertainment business. She knew people would talk about her looks, so she made the look unforgettable. And while the world was watching the rhinestones and big hair, Dolly was quietly building something much bigger, a career that would eventually become an empire. The little girl who once dreamed of escaping poverty was now learning how to turn fame into lasting success. Dolly Parton had already conquered country music and Hollywood, but she wasn't finished. She began expanding her career into business, television, film, publishing, and entertainment. One of her biggest ventures was Dollywood, a theme park in Tennessee that eventually became a major attraction and an important part of her legacy. But Dolly's success wasn't simply about becoming wealthy. She understood where she came from, and she wanted her success to mean something. The little girl who grew up with almost nothing was now creating opportunities for others. Dolly wasn't just building a career anymore, she was building an empire. As Dolly's fame grew, so did her desire to give back. In 1995, she launched the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, a program that provides free books to children. The idea was personal. Dolly's father never learned to read, and she wanted children to have opportunities that could change their lives. Over the years, the program expanded far beyond Tennessee, reaching children across the United States and eventually other countries. Meanwhile, Dolly continued releasing music and receiving some of the industry's highest honors. At this point, she wasn't simply a successful entertainer, she had become a cultural icon. Even after decades in the spotlight, Dolly Parton refused to disappear. She continued recording music, appearing on television and in films, working on business projects and supporting charitable causes. But her later years also brought personal heartbreak. In March 2025, Dolly lost her husband, Carl Dean, after nearly 60 years of marriage. The loss marked the end of one of the most enduring relationships in her life. Yet Dolly continued moving forward. She kept creating, performing, and planning new projects. Even at 80, she was still thinking about what came next. But nobody knew that her extraordinary journey was approaching its final chapter. On August 25, 2026, Dolly Parton's family announced that she had died at the age of 80. Her death marked the end of an extraordinary journey that began in a poor Tennessee household and eventually reached the highest levels of music, Hollywood, and business. At the time of reporting, an official cause of death had not been publicly confirmed, so it would be misleading to state a specific illness as the cause without confirmation. But perhaps the most important part of Dolly's story isn't how she died, it's how she lived. She went from a little girl with very little money to a songwriter, singer, actress, businesswoman, philanthropist, and global icon. She didn't just become famous, she built a legacy that will continue long after the spotlight has gone dark.